But
Okay, welcome to another episode of A Beer with Atlas. I'm Rich.
I'm Brian.
And as we continue down this road of holiday beers, Brian, what did you bring for us today?
We have got an annual tradition at the Peterson household, which is the Prairie Bomb Christmas edition. Each year they make a new version, and it's usually North Pole of 13% alcohol.
Ah, I see what you did there.
Yeah, it was a Christmas pun for y'all.
There you go. So, Prairie Artisan Ales Christmas Bomb Imperial Stout brewed with spices.
Yeah. Cinnamon's one of the spices.
You're testing the limits for me here, I got to tell you.
I'm just trying to introduce you to some stocking stuffers.
They have great labels, though.
They have really good artwork. And this one's cool. We were talking about it maybe last week. It's an interesting one because it has something that you would see in a highlights magazine for a kid, which is like Spot the Differences, or a cereal box. They do these sometimes.
Dolan, do you know what Highlights magazine is? Did you ever have Highlights?
No.
Well, it's because you're like 16, so, right?
There's still time.
He hasn't graduated from high school yet.
Is that what he's... So this is like an internship for him?
Potentially,
He's like
yes.
getting civics class honors or something right now? That was weird. So I just looked over your shoulder, and there was just a dog walking...
Yeah.
Just out there, and I was like, oh, yeah, we're at Atlas.
Yeah, welcome to Atlas. So, okay, so...
Anyway, yeah, there's Spot the Differences.
Spot the difference.
22 different ones. And
I
I only got to like 14, so...
I can't believe there's...
Maybe after Beer Buzz, we'll find them all.
Maybe.
Probably not, but
The rabbits are facing a different way.
That's one.
That's one of them. So, one down, 22
20,
to go.
yeah. An infinite more to go.
Okay, so I'll give you a little information about I can reach the glasses here.
If I can reach it without knocking the microphone.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a little information. Oh, my goodness, look at this.
Look at that color.
What are you doing, man?
I am going to just enlighten your life like a Christmas tree.
This may be the darkest beer that we've had yet. Maybe.
It might be. You're about to have a drip, too. It's coming down the bottle. There you go. Save it.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks for giving me the tall pour. I appreciate it.
Well, you like these, so...
I do.
Yeah. So Prairie Artisan Ales, located in Krebs, Oklahoma. Krebs.
I like the name of that.
Krebs.
Yeah.
I don't
sounds
know.
like a town in Oklahoma.
I assume Krebs is just right outside of Tulsa somewhere, but like one
Could
of those,
be.
like, La Vista outside of Omaha or whatever. Yeah. So, founded in 2012, so only 6 years old, kind of like us.
Yeah.
But they have distribution in 25 states and 5 continents.
We have distribution to a lot more states than that, Rich.
Yeah, that's true, but not 5 continents. Though.
Not yet.
Let's be honest. Staffing outside the United States is probably not something that any agency wants to do.
That's a pain in the neck.
Yeah, I would not spend any amount of money on that. However, they have distribution on 5 continents. I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. How many are there? 7?
Yeah, I wish you wouldn't have asked that because I don't know.
Dolan, you're still in school.
Jamie,
7.
do you know?
7.
Do you know how many continents are there?
She wasn't paying attention. That's okay.
No, doesn't know. 7? Oh, Dolan says definitely 7.
Okay, cool. I bet it's not going to Antarctica.
No, probably no.
So now we just have to figure out the last one.
Australia? Want to go to Australia? China?
I don't know. We'll see.
Is it going to Asia? Maybe.
I don't know. We'll find out.
So 3 locations: downtown Tulsa. There's the Tulsa Brew Pub, the downtown Tulsa Brew Pub, the OKC Tap Room in Oklahoma City, and Prairie 345 in McAllister. So 345, I assume, is their area code. Maybe, I don't know.
The prefix on the phone number, maybe something like
Maybe.
that. Yeah.
So yep. So those 3 locations, by far, the downtown Tulsa ones looks the nicest.
They're kind of known for, in the wintertime for sure, their stouts. Their stouts are always there. And they make different versions. They have a birthday bomb. They have just a plain straight bomb. They do what's called a deconstructed bomb, which is really cool. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it's like 4 bottles. And so it'd basically be like this beer. And then they'd make another version where they would take out maybe 1 ingredient or 2 ingredients.
Oh.
And then they just keep going down to like the base beer. So it's like the base beer, the end result, and then there's 2 beers in the middle that you can taste where the changes are made.
Oh.
So it's kind of like following it throughout the course to get to the end result, which is kind of a cool idea.
Beer puzzle.
It's expensive.
Yeah, I bet.
It's like $48 for a 4-pack or something.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I guess if that's your thing, I mean, the couple of these that I have tried, they've been good.
Yeah.
I have not tried the stouts though, so that's
Well, here we are.
yeah. So
let's do that. How about that?
Let's give this a shot here, and then we'll talk.
Smells
about it
like cinnamon for me.
Whoa, that smells like a pie. A little bit.
Tasty beer pie.
Oh, Brian, I don't know.
You don't like it?
I don't know. I got to
Too
get
thick
into.
for
No,
you?
I got to get into it a little bit.
That was the first drink, so we got 2 more to go.
Let's give me what research did you do this week? I got to get into this a little bit.
Well, what I wanted to do this time was do a little bit more in-depth research on probably the thing that you think of the most as far as Christmas. For at least for me, it's Santa Claus.
Sure.
So I wanted to go at it in a couple different ways, and the first one is just the history of him and kind of where it came from. Because there's some places online that have done zero research that will say it was basically started by the Coca-Cola Company, right?
Yeah.
Like that's where we know Santa Claus from.
Yeah.
What I could trace it back to was 280 A.D., which is in now modern-day Turkey.
Okay.
It was a dude, Saint Nicholas, actual saint, and he was known for
Yeah.
his piety, so he liked to give, and his kindness. So those were the 2 traits that he was known for in life. He was known for being very generous. One of the stories attributed to him, and put the earmuffs on the kids at this portion because it's going to get a little graphic. But
Don't take your headphones off.
don't hear this part.
Don't hear this part.
He was known for saving 3 sisters from prostitution/slavery. They were being sold by their dad. And he said, "Hey, Dad, what can I do here to solve this issue?" And he said, "Well, we need money." So he gave money for dowries for all 3 of the sisters so they could be married as opposed to sold. And that endeared him to the town. And it really cemented his legacy as a giving and caring person.
Some fine Turkish parenting there.
Times were tough in 280 AD,
Sure, yeah.
I think.
And I saw Les Miserables. I mean, he sold some bread, right? He just wanted to feed his family.
He was, yes.
That wasn't Turkey.
Wasn't Turkey.
No.
Or was it 280 AD? I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
So his birthday is December 6th. And
Okay.
traditionally, that's when they were celebrating this.
Okay.
And it was always known as a lucky day if you were going to get married. Then that was a great day to be married. And also to make a big purchase. If you're going to buy a house or a car, they didn't have cars in 280 AD. But if you're going to buy a wagon with,
Sure.
kind of a round wheel, whatever it was, this was the day to do it, December the 6th. And then that's moved back for us over time. Now it's a Christmas sort of celebration with Santa. He's intertwined there.
Jamie, didn't you
Saint
buy your
Nick.
house just recently? Was it on December 6th?
No, we closed November 30th.
Oh, so close.
Did you get the keys?
Short. I got
So
Tuesday.
close. Oh, well. But it's closer than maybe other people. I don't
way
know.
better than September 10th or
Sure.
July 4th.
Maybe some of the maybe just rub off a little bit on you.
I think it's
luck. Maybe. I don't know.
periphery.
Sure.
It's close enough.
Yeah.
He was known as a protector of sailors and kids. So we're talking about now, once he is gone, he's St. Nicholas, protector of sailors and children. And then when this whole thing called the Protestant Reformation happened, and you weren't really supposed to be down with the saints like they used to be, he escaped that. He survived, and he was still around, St. Nicholas. And he was... they have medallions you'll see sometimes for him, I was told. Then it gets to America 1,500 years later, December of 1773.
Okay.
And in the following year, December 1774, it is made mention of him in Dutch language newspapers in New York.
Oh.
They're getting together to celebrate his birthday.
Okay.
He was known as Sint Nicolaas at that time.
Okay.
And then they shortened that to Sinterklaas. And then, as you can see where I'm going, Santa Claus came from that.
Okay.
So that's when he first was known here, and that's where that name comes from. 1804. In 1804, they had a meeting at the the New York Historical Society, which was like a membership group of people, and they still have it today. But one of the people that was there gave out as a gift around Christmas time woodcuts that featured what they seemed to think of St. Nicholas looked like at that time. So he was like mass-produced, maybe. I don't know how many, 15 or 20, but his image was put on something and given out as a gift. And back at that time, they pictured him drawing. He looked like what you would think of as like a fancy Revolutionary War soldier or person.
Oh.
Like with the pointed hat and like that whole outfit. Like that's what Santa Claus looked like in 1776.
That makes sense. I mean, that's just time of, time in history or
Context,
whatever.
right?
So, yeah, exactly.
Then, a little bit after that, he was added to, if that makes sense. More of his story was brought to life by Washington Irving, which is a name you maybe heard in high school or something. He wrote Rip Van Winkle and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and he was kind of instrumental in adding some character depth to what we know as Santa Claus. And then fast forward to the 1820s, Christmas shopping was advertised in papers for the first time in America. So it was like a thing that people were doing.
The what year?
1820s.
1820s.
And then by the 1840s, whole sections of the Christmas shopping was in papers. So like we get the ads every Sunday in the paper here. In the 1840s, that was the first time they did that sort of thing for Christmas shopping.
And then the Sears catalog came out.
Wasn't that the best?
It was the best.
I would run through like a whole pen,
Yes.
ink, circling just about every page on that thing.
Yes.
And then you had to put the asterisk next to the thing you really, really wanted.
Oh, my gosh. That's, yeah.
It was, I mean, looking at it as a kid, you knew what you were going to get and not going to get. Like, you
True.
knew the price level of Santa at your house. So you would kind of even tease yourself to think, like, oh, yeah, I want to get
Yeah.
that huge aircraft carrier G.I. Joe thing.
Oh, man. The USS Flag.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the best.
Right?
Nah, no.
You couldn't even let yourself hope for that.
No.
So you'd settle for like the $25 tank or whatever.
So I got like the Rattler instead, which was still awesome, but it wasn't like you just got the airplane. You didn't get the whole aircraft carrier.
For sure.
Right. I don't know many people that did.
There was always legends of that one kid somebody knew down the street that their cousin had it or something, but I never saw one.
No.
We have really devolved off Santa, but that's okay because Santa
like
brings these
gift
things.
giving and stuff like that. Yeah, still.
This is I thought was kind of cool. So this is where it really starts the traditional mall Santa, which I know Dolan is a fan of. 1841 in Philadelphia, this toy store built a life-size model of a Santa Claus, and thousands of kids came to see it. And the guy thought, you know what, I'm onto something. So the next year he had somebody actually dressed up like a live person as a Santa Claus.
Okay.
So that's where that comes from.
Yep.
Salvation Army in the 1890s used Santa Claus to get donations. In that time, they were used the donations mostly for food. For people that didn't have meals, they would want to buy them a Christmas dinner. So they would send out homeless folks in New York City dressed as Santa Claus to ask for money. And that was tied to the Salvation Army back then.
Did the homeless people get to keep some of that money?
You know, maybe a couple coins fell through the pocket or something.
Makes
but
sense.
I'm guessing that they got some sort of reward for doing this.
Something like, yes.
And then let's see, what else did I find that was interesting? Oh yeah, the as a parent, you've I'm sure read The Night Before Christmas.
Of course.
That came out 1822.
Okay.
That's where we get the image of Santa being an elf, and he's able to go up the chimney by putting his finger on the side of his nose. He's smoking a pipe.
Yep.
That all comes from this minister who wrote a poem for his daughters, and then some other people heard it and they thought it was really good, but he didn't want to publish it because it was trite, because it was about Santa Claus.
Yep.
1881. This is where the image of Santa Claus comes from for us, that we begin to realize as what he is now.
Okay.
Political cartoonist Thomas Nast drew a picture of Santa Claus. And I had it on my phone. I was going to bring it in here, but I forgot it. So we'll just check it out later. But basically, it's where we get the idea of Santa being in a red suit with white fringe. He is plump. We'll call him plump.
Sure.
He has the pipe. He's got white hair. Another cartoon that he drew had the workshop, elves, and Mrs. Claus. So these are all things that Thomas Nast came up with to further push along the image of Santa Claus, and that's really where it sticks for us here in America.
So, I guess where did the tie into the traditional religious Christian story? I assume that's happening at the same time. Then is that
Maybe.
I don't know,
Not sure.
like how that kind of ties in.
It's interesting that a lot of the things that are attributed or things that we think about as being Santa Claus were brought by religious people and attached it to that time of year. So
Interesting.
I think, like, especially with the poem, like that was that thing came out in the 1820s, and it's still, I mean, you can go to the store and buy that today,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So almost 190 years later, that one guy's image of what Santa Claus was and what he was doing. Oh, the other thing that was attributed to him was him being in the sleigh and like flying house to house.
Okay.
Like that was something new.
With the reindeer and all
like
that.
that was a thing that had not existed before this guy wrote it down in a poem.
Interesting.
So how's the beer?
Okay, so I was going to bring that up. It's one of those, like you said, if it warms up a little bit, the flavor profile changes. It has changed. And I don't want to say more palatable because that's not, I don't want anyone to think, oh, this is it's bad or whatever. It's different, but I like it more now.
Good. I'm glad.
Than before when it was really cold. It tastes like cold pie before, and that just didn't seem right. You don't eat pie when it's cold necessarily. Some pies.
Yeah.
You'd want them to
Or
be
liquid.
Right. Or
Want a
I guess.
solid pie.
What? Now you're just getting too many details there.
I guess that's true.
Well, I don't know if I would buy it, but I wouldn't turn it away. How's that?
I'll take it.
Yeah.
That's a win. A Christmas miracle.
Yep. There you go.
So here's the other part I got. I've always been interested in my house. I don't know about yours, but because we have both here. My house is a Coca-Cola house. Oh. Some people's house is a PepsiCo house, right? And Coca-Cola grabbed on to Santa Claus very early in the game, and they have really been instrumental in pushing him into the mass markets.
Yes.
So I wanted to do a little research on that because I thought that was interesting. He shows up for the first time in 1930 in a Coca-Cola ad, Santa Claus.
Okay.
And he was drawn, I want to make sure I get this name right. Let's see. Haddon Sundblom. Just rolls off the tongue.
It's a heck of a name.
Haddon Sundblom did a bunch of oil paintings. He did one every year from 1931 to 1964. He would make an oil painting, and then they would use that as a print and put that in ads in like Saturday Evening Post, New York Magazine, Ladies' Home Journal, some of the major periodicals of the day because that's what people were reading. Every year was a different pose or paint, like whatever. It was something different every year, but the same idea as far as Santa Claus goes.
33 years. That's a good gig.
Pretty good for him, right? Yeah. And then that was the first time Santa himself was in Coca-Cola ads. They had, in 1930, a painter out of St. Louis, or actually that was where the painting came from. The painter's name was Fred Misen, and he painted a shopping mall Santa, so a guy dressed up like Santa Claus drinking a Coca-Cola. And they put that painting, it was pictured to be in the world's biggest soda fountain at the time, which was in St. Louis.
Okay.
So he went there, painted a picture, added this Coke drinking mall Santa, which sounds, I don't know, less desirable than the regular guy. Yeah. But that was very popular.
Stupid St. Louis.
And then the next year, look at that. They're stealing the thunder.
Yeah.
Then the next year it was actually Santa. So before that, he had been in advertising, but it had been somebody dressed like Santa.
Okay.
This is the first time that it was Santa himself in advertisement, which was 31. All of those paintings are still, as far as I could tell, were still owned by the Coca-Cola company, and you can see most of them. They have them in their museum that's in like Atlanta. There's a Coca-Cola museum down there, and then they also have loaned it out to different museums, children's museums, advertising things, so that you can see these paintings still. And then, which I thought was kind of cool, after about 10 years, and you might, recognize this from comics maybe. 10 years or so after this run, they decided he needs a sidekick. He needs somebody else to help push the story along, right?
Like a Robin character.
Or a Scrappy Doo.
Sure.
Like, sometimes not a good idea.
Yeah.
Sometimes all right. Well, 1942, they came up with a guy that he called Sprite Boy. because he was a sprite, which is another term for elf, right?
This sounds like a great idea.
He is, I will describe him to you. He is he looks like he's about 40.
Okay. So he's definitely not a boy.
He does not look like a boy. Mm-mm. He has white hair. And then in his forehead, you heard that right. In his forehead, he has a Coca-Cola bottle cap.
Oh, yeah.
Which is just permanently there. And he is very creepy looking. Mm-hmm. In all the ads that he's in with the Santa that they were painting, he's always like looking over Santa's shoulder or like doing some stuff. You've got to like check it out.
I got to look this up right now.
Yeah. Look up Sunblom, Sundblom, Sprite Boy, and you'll see it. He's the thing of nightmares. He is like Christmas incarnate, but in a terrible upside-down universe. It's so scary.
Oh, God, this is terrible.
And then the thing was, Coca-Cola owns Sprite, right? Like, that's who makes it. They didn't make Sprite till the 60s. So way after he was done, he only lasted about 10 years. In the 60s, they decided to make a soda pop called Sprite.
Sprite, sure.
So I don't know if that was because they already owned the copyright for that name or what, but Sprite Boy.
I don't understand why he's just got to, look this up. I mean...
There's another one where he's like, if you scroll down a little bit, there's another one where he's looking over the shoulder and Santa's like stealing one out of the fridge.
What? First of all, Santa needs to get out of my fridge. Look at this.
And it says like, if there's Coke, there's generosity or something. It's like, there's Cokes in the fridge, got presents for you.
Santa's drinking out of my fridge.
And then Sprite Boy is just in the corner, like creepy. He's like Elf on the Shelf before that was a thing.
It almost looks like they've got. He's not going for the Cokes here. He's going for the tall boy. Right there.
Oh,
that's like a Coors Light tall boy right there.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
or an old style, something like that.
Oh, that is an old style. Can. Yeah, that's what he was going for.
Coca-Cola.
But Sprite Boy's like opening the fridge for him.
And he's like going, "Shh,
don't tell anybody.
Don't wake him up.
I'm creepy.
We're stealing these beers." So,
it's a terrible idea.
That's Coke ads with Santa Claus until 2001. Mm-hmm. They go animated, first time. They use the Sunbloom guy's artwork from the 60s. They use that and they turn it into animation. So 2001, they have an animated Coca-Cola commercial, and it was created by a guy who in 1999 had won an Oscar for the best animated short. He had this really cool way of animating paintings, oil paintings specifically, and that's what these paintings were. And he was a Russian guy, and he had won an Oscar, and then a year later he built this big Coca-Cola campaign, and that came out, and that was
and that's
basically the first time he was animated for a Coca-Cola commercial.
I assume one of his was that iconic Coca-Cola Santa Claus where he's kind of leaning back a little ways and he's got the bottle.
Yep, for sure.
Yep.
That's what you think of like, and there's, like, as you know, in collectible world, Coca-Cola collectibles are like some of the creme de la creme.
Yes.
And then if you can even like narrow it down from there, there's Christmas collectibles, and those are expensive. So if you could like get an original one of these paintings, it'd be worth a bunch of bucks.
That's a lot of money
for sure.
Interesting.
That's what I know about Coca-Cola Santa.
Okay, well that's very fitting for the time.
Yeah.
And there's lots of Santa Claus on the label here. Well,
there's none.
Okay, you're right. I was
Spot
wrong.
the differences.
Yeah, well.
That's the reason I did the research, because I thought, oh, man, there's got to be a Santa on here. There's not. There's
there's a Santa. Look.
Is there? Is his legs?
You can just barely see him up there on the
chimney?
Roof,
okay, cool.
Yep. Yeah.
There's our tie-in.
So there's a little bit there. So, you know what? It's not bad.
I mean, I'll take that.
I got to get it on every one, right?
Yeah.
You have a T-shirt.
It's not bad.
You know what?
I'm telling you, got to trademark this.
It's not bad.
You know what? Mm-hmm. It's not bad.
Yep. I'm really surprised. I was not. I wasn't sure what to think here. A little cinnamony though. A little cinnamony.
It is. That will change in a year. Usually, what I do with these, just for the listener at home who's trying to keep up with me, which is a bad idea. First of all,
it's a bad idea.
I buy a bottle of this and I don't drink it for 2 years. Okay. So I have they've been around 6 years. I've got 8 of these different years because I sometimes buy 2 if I really like it.
Okay.
I'll try to get them tapped first.
Yep.
Which they've got it at most places. Casual Pint had it for a while here in town.
All right.
So I try it, see what it tastes like, and if it's something I think will change or mellow out, then I put it in the cellar. So I have a bottle of this that I'll drink next year.
Okay.
And that cinnamon will hopefully push down a little bit. The chocolate will come up, and and it will be a totally different beer in a year. It'd be interesting to do if we're doing these from a year from now.
Yep.
Pull it out and try another beer, the same beer, just a year later, and see what the differences are.
That would be a lot of fun.
I mean, it's a long play, but
I think
can do
we'll be doing these in a year, I think.
well, if we're
I
not
hope.
recording, we're just drinking beer and talking, so that's cool too.
Well, one way or the other, we'll
Yeah.
do it anyway.
Put it on the calendar.
I like it. So okay, so Prairie Artisan Ales out of Enid. Was it Enid? No, it's Krebs. Krebs, Oklahoma. In my research here, just hospitals around, we have a number of nurses that work contracts in and around Krebs. So that would be Tulsa and Oklahoma City, and there was another one that had a funny name, and I can't remember. No offense, Oklahomans.
We have any in Norman? Any hospitals there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. OU is in Norman, OU Med Center,
Yeah.
and then Children's Hospital is there too.
Yeah, we have quite a few.
Quite a few. There's a lot. In the licensure process has gotten a little bit easier in Oklahoma over the years. It used to be tough.
Oh, really?
Yep. It used to be really, really tough. I mean, it was a solid 4 weeks, probably 6 weeks, no getting around it, and it has lightened up quite a bit.
That's good.
Over the
You'd
years.
really have to plan your next adventure if you're going to need a 6-week
Yes.
head start on a license.
Yep. And no offense, again, Oklahoma, you're not really a destination state, right? I mean, there's necessarily.
Depends on what you're into.
I guess.
If you're into Oklahoma City Thunder basketball,
I guess.
if you're into the history of Cowboys,
Sure.
because they have a museum there that's supposed to be really good.
Oh.
If you're into 3-2 beer, if
No,
you're
yeah.
into the plains, if you're into real hot summers and thunderstorms,
Thunderstorms, maybe.
if you're into
Tornadoes.
states that have a panhandle,
Okay.
I mean,
Now you're
look
reaching.
at the list.
Now you're just reaching.
There's only like 3 states that have panhandles.
Here's the thing. I can say this because living in Nebraska,
Yeah.
having lived a chunk of my life in Kansas,
Yeah.
it's okay. I get it. You know, there's stuff to find. I mean, you can
Yeah.
do stuff. You got to go look for it.
That's
So-
sometimes that's the best
That
way
is-
to find
yeah.
stuff is just happen upon it.
Sometimes you're just having a kegger in a field, though. I mean, that happens too.
Just boil it down to that sometimes. Sometimes you're just having a keg of old style in somebody's pasture.
Of cream ale, old style,
Oh.
in a field.
Sounds delicious.
I guess.
Well, Merry Christmas to you.
All right,
Rich.
Merry Christmas. So one more of these? Are we doing 2 more potentially? No.
I don't know. I've got so many Christmas beers. We could do them. We could do like an Advent calendar next year.
That'd be a lot.
That's a challenge.
That's a lot of work drinking, and I don't know if we get anything else done.
Well, here's my proposition.
Okay,
Record on Fridays,
sure,
after hours, of course.
of course.
And then get like 7 or 8 done. Tasters, also,
Sure.
of course. We wouldn't. We would never think of drinking a whole 7 beers. That would be
Not us,
no.
but
Dolan would.
exactly right. So, all right, we'll see you next week.